started out with Soho Road food truck, an Indian food truck, which he'll talk about. His background is accounting, so he's kind of realized that people are opening food trucks, a lot of people are opening food trucks without any financial background. They have no idea what they're doing. They're just opening food trucks and they don't know how to run them. So he came up with an idea that, you know what, we need a support group in Vancouver. We need a supporting business to help food trucks grow so that they don't only last 3 or 4 or 5 months. They can actually go to fruition and last a long time. So he has just started up a new company called Food Cart Incubator, which he'll talk about, and he's got a commissary on the east side of town filling up now with a whole bunch of companies, from food trucks to food carts to people that are doing the farmers markets that want to grow their business. So he's actually got a solution for everybody. So I think it's really neat. We're going to hear about his food truck, Soho Road. We're also going to hear about Food Truck Incubator and what that's doing for food businesses in Vancouver. So please welcome Sarb Mund.
Okay, well, firstly, thank you everyone for showing up today on a Tuesday and listening to us talk about something that's so important, definitely in our lives, food trucks. I guess where I would start is, I mean, the last time Richard came by, I would say a month or two ago, and he spoke to a person in our kitchen by the name of Janelle, and she owns the Pie Hole, so you guys probably know her, being foodies yourselves. But I mean, he came down, he took a look at our kitchen, and he thought, you know what, this is pretty cool. And then he came down and saw me at the Cart, which is located in Birmingham, Georgia. And he said, well, I like what you're doing with the kitchen. And I said, well, you haven't heard anything yet. You got to hear about the whole system, what we're doing. I mean, we've got this going, we've got that going. And I saw his eyes light up, and he goes, you know what? Okay, we should probably talk about this a little bit more. And I think this is it. I think this is the talk that we were supposed to have that day, and now I'm having it with all of you, which is great because most likely I would have just kept my head down and kept working. But what we did through the course of the last 6 to 8 months was put together a business that would work more as an incubator or a way for food carts and other food vendors to excel in what they do. I mean, we're at a point now where I think everybody needs as much help as they can get, especially going through the winter, and that's kind of what we wanted to do. So, I mean, Food Cart Incubator, or Food Cart Inc., what we'd like to call it now, to shorten the name, is something that we've been, like I said, working on for a little while. But I mean, before we go into that, let's talk about a little bit of my background. I mean, I started off as an accountant. I'm a CMA, so I kind of dealt more in strategy than anything else. But I mean, having done that and hating it, I ended up moving on to the call from the city, really. I mean, they asked for people wanting to start a food cart, and what we did was we started off Soho Road, which is the first of our carts. And that was located at Granville in Georgia, and it's going really well, and we absolutely love it. But we also got a couple more licenses with that. One was Chawalla, which was the Indian tea stand. That's to be located at Dunsby and Hornby. And I mean, that was the second one that came in. Haven't started it yet, because we understood that there was a need for basically the Food Cart Inc., or basically a commercial kitchen that would take care of what we were doing moving forward. The third one that we got was the Tiffin truck. I mean, it sounds like a lot of carts on the go here, but I mean, like I said, I mean, the concept is relatively similar. The whole concept of my background is, I mean, I started from an accountant, pushed into food carts, absolutely loved the idea. I also thought I would throw my hat in and become the treasurer of the Street Food Association, because obviously I had so much time in my hands. And then, you know, figuring out what we needed in the industry and figuring out whereabouts we were going, I thought, you know what? We need something different. We need the food carting community. Food carting, what is it? I mean, firstly, it's a commissary. So a normal commercial kitchen, as I was mentioned to Sheila, I believe, a commissary is a Vancouver Coastal Health approved kitchen. What they do is, I mean, they've checked it, they've made sure that you don't obviously have any pets in there. You have cold storage, you have dry storage, you have adequate sinks, you have hand wash stations. I mean, that's one of the biggest hurdles for a lot of the food carts, is finding out a commissary kitchen. So what we thought is, okay, listen, we need a commissary kitchen that's great, that's impeccable, that has enough room for as many people as we can get in there. I mean, we came up to a couple stumbling blocks. I mean, when it came to doing a kitchen, what do? Either we go out and get one, so we get one for ourselves as in a restaurant and convert it over, or we take in a larger building, which we did. We took a 4,500 square foot warehouse and converted it into a commercial kitchen. We've got some pictures of it here. So this is our cooking appliances. There's more that heads off on the other side here. There's our walk-ins. These are two 10 by 14 walk-ins. There's a dish pit. And this is basically, this whole area now is starting to fill up with tenants. So I mean, what we thought was, okay, let's go big. If we're going to do it, there's tons of people, and we can't find commercial kitchens anywhere. Why don't we build one? And I mean, that's kind of where we focused our attention. I would say 6 to 8 months ago, and we've been working on that ever since. So now, I mean, this is what happens for each tenant. I mean, each tenant is given a workstation, they get their dry storage, and they get a shelf in the cooler. And we do this for, I mean, a lot of commissary kitchens, you'll probably hear this, are quite expensive. So we do this for a fraction of what most people do. And the reason that we do it this way, I'm going to get to that in just a second. But I mean, before I do that, I thought I'd throw a couple shout outs. I mean, some of the people that are in our kitchen. There's the Bihole Vancouver, who makes absolutely delicious pies. There's the Juice Box, who do juice cleanses, and they do that right out of the kitchen. And then there's Cookies of Course, and this is actually a funny story because I mean, Alan from Cookies of Course, he used to be at the Harbour Centre, and he got renovated, is the term that he likes to use, and he had nowhere to go. And I mean, this is when a commercial kitchen or a production kitchen comes into play. I mean, it's a place where, I mean, you don't really have a storefront, but you have a place where you can continue production, and that's why he's there. And basically, it's keeping him afloat, and it's basically half the price of what he would normally pay anywhere else, and it's basically getting the job done. So that's basically where we are in terms of our tenants at the moment. We have a couple more that are jumping in. I didn't have their logos in time. Okay, so Food Cart Inc., what is it? It's a commissary kitchen, but yes, everyone has a commissary kitchen. It doesn't take much effort to do that. What else is it? It's an incubator. So we understand the concept of how hard it is. I mean, Jason was talking about how tough it is to own a food cart, and he's right. I mean, there's very little help out there because we're basically pioneers doing what we do. Nobody's done it before us. We can't copy any models. I mean, basically it's sink or swim a lot of the time. So what we wanted to do was create an environment where you could grow, where you could get a business that would get off the ground, and I mean, a business that has a nurturing environment, not having a landlord breathing down your neck because he doesn't understand the industry, he doesn't understand what you're doing. So I mean, that's what we wanted, first and foremost. I mean, how do we do that though, right? I mean, firstly, we understand that it's expensive, and it's a seasonal business. We're not always making money. We're dying in the winter. It is tough. I mean, we pay to be there, or, you know, I mean, you're lucky we love it, to be honest, because I mean, otherwise a lot of people wouldn't be there in the winter. But it's a tough grind, but we did it. But I mean, how do we do this better? How do we understand what is going on out there? I mean, firstly, rental rates, we feel, can't be the same in the winter as they are in the summer. It's unsustainable. It doesn't make sense to pay so much rent when you're not using the kitchen, or you're not using any cooking appliances. So that kind of brought us to the second point, and this is what we were talking to Richard about before. We designed a system, or a billing software that would work in our kitchen. And I think we're the only ones that do this so far, but I mean, we're going to be able to license the software out. And that's Commissary Connect. So we focused a lot of our time on this, and we're basically in the beta tests, and we're just about done there now. We're just going to connect it to all of our appliances. So what does this do? It splits up your rent. So you're not paying a fixed cost all the way through. You're not paying a high rent all the way through. What it does, it gives you a base rent, which basically covers our overhead as the kitchen operators. And then you have a variable cost. I mean, so what your variable costs are, it's an hourly rate. I mean, whatever appliance you use, you just pay for that appliance. So now, I mean, in the down seasons, you're not paying as much, and in the up seasons, obviously, you're making money, so everyone's okay. We've also capped it, so you're not paying more than market rate. And we feel that this is probably the fairest way of going about it, and it's probably going to be the standard of what other commissary kitchens would use, especially because we're going to link it in. I mean, the system that we're using now, it's definitely applicable to other kitchens. And now, let's say you're a vendor in Vancouver, but you have an event out in Abbotsford, and you have no kitchen there. If that kitchen is operating the same software, they can just go down there and do a drop-in like a Steve Nash gym. So that's kind of what we've been working on for the last little while. So we got Food Cart Inc., we got the Commissary Connect. I mean, why are we doing this? And it's obviously the key to this business is having your goals aligned. The key to any business is having your goals aligned. You have to understand that. I mean, if you have a landlord or somebody that's making money, whether you're doing sales or not, and they've tied you into a contract, I mean, it's difficult for you to make money at that point. But I mean, in our case, I mean, we want each of these tenants to succeed. I mean, our job is to help these businesses grow, because obviously if they're using more appliances, then obviously we get paid. So, I mean, everyone works in the same way in this sense. I mean, everybody, we're trying to get them to be at market rate all the time, because it makes sense for us. So that's basically why I did those shout outs. Okay, so the better they do, the better we do. Also, another advantage of having a commercial kitchen or a food cart Inc. Is that we get to work as a collective. Now, we're small businesses, so we don't get to leverage much of our strengths, or we don't have economies of scale in many cases, but we can do that when we all work together, and that's kind of what we want to do. We're kind of building an incubator where you can, you understand where you're going, you've minimized your costs, but you're also able to take advantage of working together. So, I mean, economies of scale in terms of bulk purchasing for packaging, that's something that we do. We have shared labor, so if we have staff that obviously one of the food carts or one of the vendors cannot take on a full-time staff, but they can take a person on for an hour or two, and somebody else can take that person on for an hour or two. Now we can share that person around, and they're trained on each one, so I mean, that definitely cuts down your costs there. We also have collective marketing. I mean, we're gonna, Janelle from the Pie Hole is doing a tasting place, I believe, in April. But I mean, that definitely brings in more people to the kitchen to see what's going on. So I mean, we understand from the food cart model that the more food carts you have in one spot, I mean, the better we do. So I mean, that's kind of something I want to bring into this type of scenario. Obviously, market research and taste tests, I mean, happens all the time. I mean, Janelle's always coming with a pie, or we're always bringing out a kebab, or someone else is bringing out their juices, or everyone's tasting and saying, oh, what do you think of this? I mean, you've got people now that have, it's an unbiased opinion, but they're definitely, I mean, it's an educated opinion, right? It's a qualified opinion. So, I mean, we're bringing people together that are going to be able to help each other, whether it comes to market research or leveraging their business, connections. I mean, if somebody gets into wholesale, I mean, they're going to help somebody else get in there, because I mean, that's kind of how we work in our kitchen. So that's kind of the ethos that we're going for, I suppose I should say. So I mean, we got that working as a collective. What else we got? Now we come to the third part, and this is kind of what Richard was talking about. I think this is why Richard's eyes really lit up, because he understands seeing so many food vendors or restaurants going into the industry and then going straight back out of the industry. He understands that one of the problems there is, I mean, they don't understand their numbers. I wouldn't say I'm a numbers guy per se, but I mean, I definitely understand if you show me some numbers, I will understand what's going on with them. So what do? I mean, we help them measure their success. And how do we do that? We get a full-time accountant or a bookkeeper in the kitchen. So I mean, now you have a person that's taking care of all your numbers. They get to show you what's going on, and they get to show you graphically. They show you where your revenues are, where your expenses are, how much profit you have, what are your margins, what are your variances, what's going. I mean, we're breaking down this information, which is critical for any business. I mean, it's fun when we talk about the food carts and how much of a laugh they are. And I joke about these numbers aren't real, by the way. But we joke about how great it is and how we go out there even though we're losing money. But I mean, they are businesses. We have employees. People have to get paid. We have to know what's going on with them. So that's kind of the third part of this incubator system, is not only are we helping them minimize their costs and share their ideas, but we're also being able to measure their success and show them their success and show them where the weaknesses are. I mean, breaking down where their expenses lie and where their major expenses are, and then having a solution saying, yeah, listen, your food costs are crazy. I mean, you're paying way too much for chicken. We have a bulk buyer. I mean, we can bring you chicken from this person. You probably save something, right? I mean, it's working as a collective. It's trying to put our heads together. It's trying to get these people that having a tough time starting a business, because it's not easy. These food carts are not easy, and I'm not just talking food carts, because the Food Cart Incubator is probably the wrong name for this. It's more like Food Vendor Incubator, because I mean, these people, I think we're the only food cart in there, to be honest. I mean, everyone else is a vendor of some sort. But I mean, the whole point of this system is firstly to align our goals all the way down, from top to bottom, work as a collective, and help measure the success of the people so that they can continue on their business. So where does that put us? We started our first cart a year and a half ago. We probably haven't even changed our menu once, because our attention completely shifted over to the kitchen and the software and everything else. So our future plans, firstly, are to get those other two carts going. So get that Tiffin truck up and running at some point. And get the Indian tea stand, Chawalla, up and running. But then after that, I mean, what do we do next? How do we utilize this kitchen to the best of its ability and get more cool food out there? So what we thought about doing was a pop-up restaurant. So we have a mezzanine of about 1,000 square feet, I believe, above our cooking station and above where everyone else is. And we're zoned for a 16-seat restaurant, or 16 seats upstairs, which we're going to be taking a look at, not in the too distant future. And the reason that we're doing that is, I mean, it kind of gives people an opportunity to take a look at whether they would want to get into that industry. I mean, it's difficult when you put in so much capital, especially with a restaurant, and then, oh my God, I mean, where are the customers? This gives you a chance to rent a restaurant or rent the upstairs and use the cooking facility and use it 1 day a week. And if it works out well, then you can take it on 2 days a week, or you take it on once a month. Or as you build a clientele now, it mitigates the risk. It gets you in a position now where, I mean, you can show some numbers to investors, or you can show some numbers on how many people you're bringing in there. And it gets a lot of the headache out of there. I mean, we have all that equipment there anyway. It makes sense for us to use it for the best way possible. And so that is one of our future plans. I mean, there's tons of others, but I mean, don't have time for that probably at this point. So I guess at this stage of the game, I would like to say thank you for everyone here, and I would definitely like to say thank you for Richard, because if it wasn't for Richard coming down and listening to what I had to say, I probably wouldn't be up here talking about it. But if you guys ever want to stop in and take a look at the place, it's at 401 Industrial Avenue. And if you want to talk to me about anything else in regards to what I've been talking today, you can please just contact me right there. Thank you so much.